Good morning. It's morning for me. Oh, man. You always sound weird when you have little earbudules in your ear. Good morning. Audio in the background is being brought to us by Quolo. This DJ, I'll link to him. Kaulaus Trumpet Meditations. We're about to go to another one of his, I think. Okay, well, now we're on to a hot drip session. Audio in the background is brought to us by Drip Collective, hot drip session. This is DJ. Who are you, my friend? Check the description. Right on. All right. I don't know which DJ this is, but I'm here for it. I'm here for him. So I'm here today to just crack open a discussion of whatever's on my heart. So right now, that is my contribution, showing up, being part of community. For example, lately when I've been going to Drip Collective, I'll sketch something usually when I show up at any coffee shop. I bring either a big notebook or a smallish notebook, or very small little pocketbook, and I am writing or sketching something, ideas, concepts, illustrations of different sorts. And lately what I've been doing is whatever I sketch, snap a picture, tell a little short story, post it, tag them on the Meta platform Instagram. And just a small way of showing up, being part of community. For so long in my life, so much of my life, I've been asking permission or waiting for permission to whatever, show up and have a feeling of agency as a part of a community. I've noticed that I perform very well in mission-driven environments, because I'll show up. What's the mission? All right, let's get it done. I'll organize, I'll host events, I'll pull people together, I'll facilitate, I'll weave ideas and connections. When I have a sense of agency and combined with a sense of mission, and maybe it's really just about the agency. The mission is something of a vehicle to deliver a sense of agency. Because if we're organized around a mission, then it's an easy calculation for me. Is my hesitance or the mission more important? Like, whatever. My worry about XYZ, how I'm being perceived, whatever. If they're not into the mission, screw them. They're not, the mission is not for them. And it might even be for them, and they can just go kick rocks anyway. What are you going to do? People, not everyone's going to be into even the most important things for us collectively. Free healthcare, you would think. People find reasons to oppose it. Free lunch, good quality food at the free lunch. I mean, come on. Where's our head at? Housing for everybody. So anyway, you would think, but so there's some people who can kick rocks. Hopefully, you still benefit from the social infrastructure, the collective investments all around us that we're making. You like drinking water. You like your roads or whatever your transit is. You like to get around. You like to breathe clean air. That one's in question. Also the quality water and the transit. Jesus. So you would think, however, crazy is as crazy does. Let's just try to not let it run us collectively. Let's try to be a little more thoughtful about what we're doing to ourselves and my nephews. I don't have kids, but I got some kind of posterity. To ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution. You guys know Schoolhouse Rock? So Drip Collective has this thing called a smart bar. And this is our friend who I'm going to have to tell you who he is in the description. But it's in like a corner, a highly visible corner pocket of the coffee shop. You go in, there's real vaulted ceilings right off of Racine in Chicago, near in Fulton Market District, right off of Lake and Randolph. I'm waiting for it to switch visuals. You'll see the cafe. You're gonna have to go check it out yourself. Physically, if you're in Chicago, or Drip Collective Chicago, at Drip Collective Chicago. Check them out. And this DJ too. This is DJ. Maybe I can do something here. Nice. Okay. Hazer. Leah Hazer. Leja. Hazer with a Z. So, yeah. Permission. Like, where are you just waiting for someone to open the door for you to show up? But you want to show up. You want to be a part of. I can't tell you how much I absolutely loved the sense of community, the play, the coming aliveness around theater. I did a lot of that between my church and my school growing up. High school in particular, but the church since it's kind of forever. But I got into more stage work, both on the front and back. So lighting and sound. I did some of that technical stuff, more for church, but a little bit for some like district level kind of theatrical productions. I think one of them was for a state competition. Yeah. It hits a little different. There is a production called Jakob Comes Home, and it just hits a little different as you go on in life, and things happen, and what was once a story rich with emotion is just the layers and the depths are added to it, because now it's story compounds on story. So what story are we telling? And what story do we want to tell? This is where my head's at lately, inspired in huge part by Margaret Chandra Carrison's work. Margaret Chandra Carrison. This is the book I have from her, Reimagined Worlds, Narrative Placemaking for People, Play, and Purpose. A designer's a manifesto, mind you. Margaret is just a beast in all the best sense of the word. A force to be reckoned with. She's been an Imagineer with Walt Disney, which is just badass. She came to the American Planning Association's state planning conference. I don't know if this is mirrored or not, Margaret, but there's Margaret. And she was the keynote speaker at the Illinois convening in October of 2025 for the state chapter of the American Planning Association annual conference. My God, she just nailed it home. Because so often you'll walk by like facades that no one thought about the pedestrian experience walking by this like building facade. And if they did, then, you know, I hope they spend some nights sleeping on rocks. Because that's just an affront to humanity when you're walking by a facade that is unwelcoming, that is cold, that does not invite any level of quality human experience. At least some places put up murals on these big, massive brick walls or whatever they are, concrete, choose your material, that like a butt come right up on the sidewalk. Or maybe you've got this little 3 feet of stones or grass or hedge work. At least you put some greenery out there, something. But that's like, I get pissed off at that kind of stuff. But it just in general, the architecture all around us and the plans, the city planning all around us that we interact with every day, that, as Winston Churchill says, said something to the effect of, we build our buildings, we shape our buildings, and then they shape us. Something like that. You live in an environment every day and work with and interact with an environment every day. It's going to influence your paradigms, your frames of mind, how you think about and see the world. That is indisputable. So you live on the ocean, you've got that consistent, constant, open call to adventures. Cool. A big lake can kind of approximate that. At least it creates stillness. Lakes are a little different. Lake Michigan here, we get interesting weather as a result of it, but it also invites a kind of like energy break that Chicago benefits greatly from, because taking a beat, taking a breath in life, energetically, emotionally, it gives you a second to think about how you want to approach the next moment. The same thing I learned from Mel Robbins, similar outcome. You count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It just interrupts the kind of whatever narrative dingle-dangle journey that you're on in your head that you may or may not know you're on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then breathe. You can breathe a few times. That'd be great. Some nice deep breaths. reset your system. On the scale of a city, Chicago is able to do something similar thanks to the energetic buffer that is the Lake Michigan. There's already this kind of relaxedness that comes with entering into the Midwest. And now that I'm thinking about the lake and its effect, I'm going to credit a lot of that to the lake. I believe Appalachia plays into that as well, just kind of like softening what's going on. Because we're not driving over here like they're driving on the East Coast, as in like driving in life toward what? When I moved downtown in Chicago, when I moved to Chicago, I was staying downtown for a stint over a decade ago. And I step out onto the financial district, which is in the middle of the loop. I'm going to say I was on Dearborn. And I just felt like this surging of energy and intention, people going to and fro, going to work, going to lunch, whatever they were doing. I was like, oh my God. It felt like, mind you, I'd moved from Boulder, Colorado, which you want to talk about energy bubbles or influence or different dynamics energetically. Boulder's got a whole fascinating thing going on. And I moved from that front range little pocket town to Chicago, and the humidity was crazy. Felt like I was swimming. Even though it was winter, the humidity is intense. You get used to it real quick. Feels like I did. But two, the going out in the day downtown, it felt like a drill going through the earth. So you've got this big old mining apparatus drilling through the earth, through the crust of the earth. So much energy and friction and grind going on. But what are we drilling for? Why are we drilling, carving into the earth? For what? What are we showing up for? What story are we telling? And this whole idea about narrative and storytelling, narrative placemaking, from Margaret's work, from this Reimagined Worlds book, People, Play, and Purpose. This is about working through what is the story of a place. Is it defined? Is it not? If not, what might it ought to be? Who uses it? Who lives there? What's the kind of interaction that they might desire? What's their wish fulfillment? Or if I have ideal visitors to a space, how is it that I want them to feel as they're working through the space, but then certainly as they've left? So for me, it's like a Johnny Appleseed dynamic, where for a lot of my life, I've been trying to do too many jobs. And I've been trying to handle too many aspects of the spectrum that is the dance and art of creation, or bringing something into being and sustaining it over time. It might be a movement, might be a new policy, a new program, new group or organization or whatever. And what I want is to play the role of inspirer, kind of a initial facilitator, a seeder to seed, Johnny Appleseed, to give gifts, little packets of inspired futures. Like, this is where we could go. Or this is how I might think about where we could go. And let me walk you through that. And now you've got to see that you built yourself of your own inspired future. I'm just kind of giving you some of my visionary energy to help shape that. And then you can carry it home and bring it to life in your own community, in your own house, in your room, at your desk, on your channel, whatever it is. So letting go of, for me, a lot of it is recognizing my role in storytelling. This is what I'm working on in life right now. Recognizing my role in storytelling. Letting go of those parts of bringing the story to life that drain my energy. Where is it that I exist and operate that is generative, energetically for me? And then that's a lens that I bring to think about, well, how am I designing the next thing that I'm working on? How am I building boundaries around my contribution? And what is it that I'm willing to do? Where are lines that I have to really want to sacrifice if I'm going to cross that line and keep doing whatever the work is over there? That's when you're getting into like marriage territory, deep personal commitment territory. Most of life cannot be that way. We will drain our energy if we give beyond those spaces that naturally or generative in. What are those spaces? Go find out. I don't know what to tell you right now. You could ask the question. I could come back with some questions, some resources, some ideas. But that's a soul journey. So here's a resource: Soulcraft. Plotkin is the guy's name. Bill? No. James. No. Anyway, Plotkin. So if you search Plotkin, Plotkin, and then Soulcraft, one word, there's like different books. Just pick a book. There's one like titled Soulcraft. And that's all about that kind of journey of soul discovery. And it's a commitment, and you've got to be willing to lose things in the journey for the sake of not even finding things. Just a self-liberation process. And as you're on the journey, you're going to discover really cool and awesome stuff about yourself. So I encourage it with wisdom. If you're going to go out into the wilderness kind of level of soulcraft, it's just be wise in what you're up to. So I'm thinking about this idea of what is the story that I'm wanting to tell. I'm telling a story right now. It's kind of muted. There's not a lot going on. I'm not putting myself out there too much. But then there's things that I'm working on that are interventions to, crack that shell. If you think of, if I'm an egg, okay, well, cracking that shell so my good guts can spill out, whatever. Pick your metaphor. Things like sharing without concern for the finished nature of the product. So sketches and rough drafts, just sharing them out. That little dance where I just share something with the coffee shop that I'm visiting at, scribbling in, or like tagging them on social. It's part of that. It's being vulnerable, and it's kind of like a muscle. You gotta work out, because this comes back to permission. It comes back to the mission, feeling a sense of agency, showing up. Because I've got stories that I want to tell that are profoundly important to me. And what else? What else matters? Yeah, a lot of stuff matters. But in terms of like what story I'm going to tell, am I going to not act out and bring into life the story or stories that are really important to me, because no one's giving me permission to do that? And for a lot of my life, yeah, that's the case. I've been doing that, waiting for a sign from God. And it sounds like, no, I'm like really waiting for a letter in the mail, or a dove from the sky, or a lightning bolt that like carves words into my wall that says, Gabe, go forth and do this thing. Are you waiting for something like that? I don't know. You know someone waiting for something like that? Probably. And so then it's easy to just rely on, well, what's been written, and how do I just follow that? And then you're up to interpretations of that too. You might be deeply spiritual, faith-based person, and there's many ways to interpret what's going on in a ancient text. So that's also full of its own intricacies. Then there's just situations that are really high control that you might end up in. Cult situations. Cults. You might end up in a cult with a very rigid and strict interpretation of whatever the guiding texts or ideas are. And then what is the agency of your own creative expression in that environment? Are you an author of the collective story that we're telling? A free-willed author? It's a question. And it's something I've encountered multiple times in life, whether it's myself or people I care deeply about have fallen or just grown up in or whatever, stepped into these high control environments. And on the inside, the perspective is liberating. It's liberating you of your own need to make sense of things. It's not framed that way. You on your own can't make sense of things on the inside. That wouldn't be good. That would challenge the supremacy of whatever the cult dynamic is. So and that's personal to me, right? So this is touching soft tissue. What I want and what I long for myself, and then what I want to share naturally with the world, if it's good, if it's goodness, I want to share it, is the liberation of our creative spirit. And depending on the terminology we're talking about, it might be our creative soul. Because that story that I'm waiting for permission to tell, that is coming from within me. I'm not an island. What is inside of me is part of this whole thing that we're doing, this whole dance. And so many of us, myself, silence is a word we could use, though it might not be an active, conscious decision we're making. But maybe never find that it comes to life, or it only comes to life now and then. Mostly in our dreams, maybe. We catch glimpses here and there on, like, sabbatical somewhere, if we get those. I create my own kind of wilderness experiences of sorts. But when we're in just a thing that ends up being a passion project, and this whole expression in place of ourselves starts to pour out, and it's beautiful, and it feels in concert with the world, with God, with our spiritual understanding, or it feels beyond whatever that might be. It's like refreshing. It's like taking a hot spring bath and getting our life rejuvenated. Drinking some sparkling water with lemon, lime, and mint in there, and some honey, all kind of blended up, but it's got a good crisp sparkle carbonation to it. Oh, that's where we're at. And those places are the creative stir of our soul speaking, coming to life. The liberation for that expression to naturally flow, for us to celebrate that in each other, to encourage it, to have infrastructure, ideas, resources, pathways, schooling, opportunities, funding, whatever. Programs designed with a heart, infrastructure with a heart, with an intention to call these things to life. Our own unique, beautiful, creative voices. And you may not have a good voice for speaking, or you might feel that way at least. You may not have a singing voice. You may not be able to paint or sketch or draw. You have an expression. For me, one of my arts is in Excel. There's things that I love to do with efficiency and programming, low level, but codifying processes into something that one of my coworkers described as elegant. I have a way of taking something and then transforming it into an elegant process. I'm here for it. I sketch all kinds of stuff, and when we're running, building the plane as we go, a lot of it just ends up being implemented roughshod because we don't have time to make the elegant thing. But God, I love making the elegant thing. So that's an art. That's a creative voice. And one of the reasons why I've left my job where I've done that most recently is because it doesn't give me space to walk in my creative voice, at all. I'm not interested in living a life like that. There is an intersection of my creative voice, my contribution to community, value generation, where is a win-win. It's a win-win-win. Or I am in my generative space, doing work that is fulfilling and spins me up energetically, fills my battery, or at least doesn't drain it. I'm doing work that is appreciated and wanted, desired, valued by some community. And if that's in the context of work, then there's an exchange going on. There's some kind of marketplace happening. There's gainful employment for me and good things for my organization. So that's where I'm heading. Where exactly is that? I'm gonna really know it when I step there. But the thing about the future is, if we want it to be different, it's going to be unknown until we're there. And so we have to be comfortable with the unease of walking in the unknown. But let's go in with a vision. And I am doing that in my own personal journey, which comes back to this idea of story. So I'm going to have to go take a bio break, as they call it here. But the short that I'll leave you with is the too long didn't watch or listen, Gabe. I fast forwarded all the way to the end. Who does that? I don't. I do that with books sometimes. I do that with TV series that I'm like, I'm sick of this is dragging on, but I'm interested enough in the story. I'm going to watch the last couple episodes. What story are you telling? What story do you want to tell? And whose permission are you waiting on to start telling that story? The calling within you to tell the story, that is the permission. We are co-creating here, and the only way to do that is to walk in the agency that you have as an author of reality, however big or small you want that to be. It's up to you. It doesn't have to be some big grand thing. I might have a vision for something going on my block, and that, well, who's doing it? I'm waiting on someone else to do it. I'm the one to do it, or at least to do my part in it, to share the idea, to catalyze the vision, and then to equip others with, oh, this could be. And here's a way that I can step in and start contributing to this. More to say on all of this, but that's the dance that I'm in presently. This has been Musings, weekend musing with Gabe. So far it's tea. I'm probably gonna make some espresso, mocha pot espresso here in a second. Somewhere back there, there's some coffee sitting out waiting to be put into action, put into production. So, musings on the productions of life, episode 2026-0118. Peace.